Hey, Summer Jammers, this is Richard.
And Neal.
How's it going, Neal? We good?
We're doing great. Summer Jam is blowing up, and I'm having a great time. Are you having a great time at Summer Jam?
I am having a great time. So when we launched this, I had a lot of anxiety. Like, would people take part in Summer Jam? Would anyone make anything? And slowly my anxiety is fading because we're closing these hackathons and people are building awesome shit. It's so cool.
That's true. Yesterday, on Monday, we just closed the Financial Literacy Hackathon, and I believe we had 13 great submissions. I saw some really cool stuff. There was a project from a kid in high school. He made an app and he made a website to go along with it. So he went above and beyond.
That is overachieving.
It really is.
And also our judges are done on open data and selfie, which is really cool.
That's right. We're going to be announcing the winners for those very, very soon.
Very, very soon. We're just dotting the I's, crossing the T's, checking all those things out. It's going to be really cool. And we've got events coming up.
That's true. Today, on Tuesday, the 30th, we have a happy hour at WeWork Labs in Chelsea. If you go to the Summer Jam landing page, you can still sign up for those, for tickets for those. And on the 9th of July, we will be in Soma in San Francisco, again at WeWork Labs. And so we'd love to see you if you can stop by and hang out with us.
Yeah. And if you want to travel to SF with us, Neal and I are splitting up the driving. It's going to be a good road trip.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, true. All right. But anyway, what are we here? We're here to talk about maps today, right?
Right. We just launched 2 new Summer Jam hackathons. The first is the Internet of Things. You probably heard about that in our last video, and maybe you've got email about it yesterday. But today we're here to talk about maps as art, because we think that maps are great, and we think that much like the old-time cartographers with little sea serpents in the margins, that maps can be art, and we want you to reimagine the world around you using maps.
I once worked on a mapping project for the World Bank. One of my colleagues said that in his career as a geographer, the thing that he'd learned is that every map needs to tell a story. And I'm really fascinated by that idea. So I'm super excited about this one. I think it's going to be really cool.
I think that every map needs the little, or it's not a map. It's just a picture.
Well, if it's a picture of places that helps you navigate, that might be a map.
It needs a legend or it doesn't count as a map.
We're going to argue about this later. We're actually joined by Jurgis, our friend in Riga from Clusterpoint, our title sponsor. Jurgis, how's it going?
Hi all. Thanks. I'm doing well.
Awesome. So Clusterpoint signed up as our title sponsor for Maps as Art. So maybe tell us like a little bit about Clusterpoint. We know you guys are based in Riga, one of my favorite cities. What's going on? Who are you? How long have you been in business? What is Clusterpoint?
Yeah, so I agree. Riga is quite a nice city. And yeah, we have been around 6 years, so we have quite long history with our company. So most of our customers is based here in Europe, but this year we are reaching out to US as well. Yeah, and what is Clusterpoint? So Clusterpoint actually is NoSQL document-oriented database in the cloud. So nowadays it's quite popular to store the data and manage data in the cloud because you can get quite a lot of resources and use that in your applications. So basically Clusterpoint is a database, just a database in the cloud. Yep.
That's really cool. And especially relevant for Maps as Art due to some features that you have?
Yeah, and Clusterpoint basically is document-oriented database, so it's very well suited for location-based data. So in Clusterpoint, we have multiple indices, which kind of helps developers to retrieve data really fast. And one type of index we have is geospatial indices. So it's very convenient way how to process location-based data. Like, for example, try to find some objects on map in particular shape, for example, in polygon or circle, or for example, if you have a device with location with GPS built in, which nowadays is in every device. So you can find nearest objects near you and any other great things.
It's pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah, I was actually looking at one of the tutorials a little earlier, and it looked like you could basically set a bounding box and search inside that bounding box. But instead of that bounding box just being two coordinates defining a square or a rectangle, you could actually use an entire poly shape. And so you could get much more detailed with the areas that you were searching in.
Yeah, exactly. So I can show kind of small demo about how to do that. But yeah, in basically you can draw whatever shape you want on the map, and database will try to find all objects inside or outside this polygon. Right? That's a great feature.
That's cool. So I know a lot of people right now will be like starting to look at maps and decide to build. So maybe you want to show us a quick demo about how Clusterpoint works and like how people might be able to integrate that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, let me share my screen now. Okay, just a moment. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's start maybe not with a map demo, but about how to start a Clusterpoint database. Okay, here I have a login already, logged in. So yeah, basically to start using Clusterpoint, what you need to do is just to sign up for account. So please go to cloudclusterpoint.com, fill the form. You will receive shortly after filling the form a verification email. Click on verify link, and you are good to start using Clusterpoint database. So here I will log in. Here you see there is my database called POI, which is points of interest. In your applications, you will create just your database, load some data, and start working with that. But for Summer Jam post hackathon, we created one public database, which is called OSM POI, which is 30, as you see, about 13 million of records of OpenStreetMap data. So this database basically contains 30 million points of interest around the world. So each record in the database contains information about like what is the name, what is the tag of this particular object, what is the latitude and longitude. So if you find it useful, you can use this public database for your applications. And now I'm going to switch to some demo. So this demo is based and written like JavaScript only application. So it doesn't use any backend. So it's just pure JavaScript and HTML. So in this example, we used OpenStreetMap data as mapping engine, Clusterpoint Cloud database as a data store where we store the data and where we try to retrieve, and use Mapbox.js, which helps us to make cool stuff with maps, like drawing markers, drawing some shapes, and other neat things. So let's start with that we are somewhere in London, and we want to find some nice objects around here. So on the left side, you see this is a query which was sent to database. On the right side, you see map. So what actually database did in few seconds was just try to search for objects in this particular area. So we can also make some nice polygons as well. So we can create some crazy shapes actually to try to find objects into the database. Okay, yeah, you see a database just defined. So here in query, we defined all points which made this nice polygon here, and database retrieved only those objects which was within this this shape. Yeah, so as you see, this is quite convenient and handy way how to and actually very fast way how to manage location-based data. So as as the cluster point has multiple indices, you can mix and match that kind of queries. So we can mix geospatial search, which we did previously, with some filtering. So we want to find cafes in this crazy shape. Okay, let's do it. Okay, here we go. So we retrieved just the cafes in the center of London. Yeah, so this is pretty much for this demo. So actually you can play with it by accessing this particular URL. So demo.clusterpoint.com/demo/OSM. So and hopefully you will enjoy it. Okay. Okay. So try to give back to guys. Okay.
Cool. I think we've got it. That's pretty awesome. Did we hear this right, that you've like set up a demo database for SummerJam then, where you've imported all this data from OpenStreetMap? Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So if you subscribe for a cloud account, you will see this tab, public database. You click on public database, you are able to access this public OpenStreetMap database with around 14 million of records, and use in your application if you want, or if you want your own kind of data, you can load your data as well, but the kind of principles kind of stay the same.
That's really cool. You just like took the work out of building the whole mapping part for anyone who wants to take part. That's super easy.
Absolutely. And Jurgis, I was noticing, are all the queries for Clusterpoint written in XML? Is that correct?
Yeah, so historically we started as XML document-oriented database, and in coming versions we will in the upcoming version, which will be in autumn, we will change a bit this query language. But for now it's XML-based query language. But of course you can do this from JavaScript via AJAX requests and put this XML query as a value. But yeah, basically it's XML because we store data as XML documents.
Okay, cool.
That's really cool. So another question I had was, so if summer jammers are taking part in using Clusterpoint, what's the best way to contact you folks if they have any questions, if they need any support? What's the best ways to reach Clusterpoint?
Yeah, so there are two options. One option is that we have a live chat on our website. So when you go to our website, www.clusterpoint.com, on the bottom right, you will see some small balloon where you can click and start to chat with our support team. So this is one option, and another option is just to drop email to support@clusterpoint.com, and we will kindly answer to all questions for all contestants of SummerJam.
That's really cool. And we're right at the start of this one, so people have until July 20th to work on their projects. It's really fun.
Right, and if you need any more motivation, Clusterpoint is actually sponsoring. The grand prize is an Apple Watch for everybody on your team. So
wow, so up to a team size of 4 people, if you use Clusterpoint as your back end and take part in SummerJam, like everybody gets an Apple Watch.
that seems like a pretty good reason to enter, but we're not eligible, so
we're not eligible. We need to run one of these where we're eligible.
I've never been eligible for any of these.
We were going to do that poetry hack at a hackathon once. We should have done that. We would have won. But anyway, so Jurgis, thanks so much for taking the time to chat to us and show people this. I think it's really interesting and love to see what people do. Looks like if you just go to demo.clusterpoint.com, people can check out what we were seeing there.
Yeah, so the address is demo.clusterpoint.com/demo/OSM. So yeah, and actually you can find this tutorial also on our Wikipedia page. So there is docs.clusterpoint.com. This is our documentation page, and search for tutorials, and you will get kind of tutorial for location-based data. So it's quite good point to start from.
That's great. And I think we linked all of these in the resources page as well. So we're trying to make it super easy for people to connect with all that information. So that's a bit all from my side. Got anything more?
Nope, I think we're good.
Awesome. Well, yours, thanks for making the time. Happy hacking, everyone.
All right. Later, guys.
Yeah, cool.